Good evening and welcome to another informative episode of Health Check on Hope TV. It's a station where you look and live. Today we get on a conversation of a disease that most name I hear is autoimmune, and we'll be discovering what all that is. The conversation this evening is on lupus. What do you know about it? What questions do you have about them? And about it, actually. You can go ahead and text us on 22232. That's a text line. It's 22232. You can comment if you check us out on Facebook at Hope TV KE, on Instagram, on Twitter. You can also go to our YouTube channel. This is going live. In case you need to move around the house, you can go with your phone. I have two amazing guests who have taken out Madaraka Day to come. I first of all want to wish you a happy Madaraka Day and just highlight, in my own opinion, this does not reflect the views of the television station. We received freedom, independence. We became a state. What are you doing about it? Now you have a voice to speak. You can do better. Okay, that's my take for this year's Madaraka Day. Happy Madaraka Day, guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you too.
Thank you for choosing to be on Hope TV, where you look and live. I will start with the lady, and she's in my favorite color. That's my favorite color. It's like some yellow, but still as deep as mustard. And it's written,
No lupus.
No lupus. Get to know lupus. It's Elwyn.
Yeah.
Chebet. Songok. Should I say all the names? And Elwyn is living with lupus.
Yeah.
And you're just glowing. How? I'm wondering. Anyway, I'm looking forward to talking about it. How? I can't even tell. But thank you so much for being brave to come.
Yeah.
How can guys follow you or interact with your content?
You can follow me first on Instagram. I am the Black Warrior Queen. I am on Facebook as Kipsongok Chebet. Yeah.
And you have like a movement, an organization, a community?
Yeah, we have a support group called Scleroderma, Lupus, and other autoimmune disorders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who?
Scleroderma.
Okay, fine. Daktari will define all this for us because I'm scaring. And of course, joining us for the second time, he's the head of the Rheumatology unit at KNH, Professor Omondi Oyoo. Thank you so much for coming again.
Thank you very much.
And you told me that you did get everyone to know about lupus this month.
Yes.
But let's start by explaining what she has mentioned.
Which one? Scleroderma?
Yeah, all the three, because they seem related.
Yeah, lupus is an autoimmune disease where you have antibodies. Antibodies are supposed to protect the body, but now they start fighting the body. Mm-hmm. It's like you have civil war within the body. Wow. And therefore, they can attack every system in the body. They can attack the hair, the blood cell, the skin, the organs in the body. Scleroderma is also an autoimmune disease. You also have antibodies attacking the body, but in scleroderma, you end up with the thickening of the connective tissues, so you end up with thick skin. In fact, scleroderma is a Latin word, means sclera derma, thick skin.
Oh, derma, yes.
Yeah, thick skin. Mm-hmm. So you have thickening of the blood vessels, thickening of the skin, thickening of the connected the internal organs. So you can end up with ulceration on the lips, on the fingers, difficulty of swallowing, and many other complications. So that's why they are related. Because all of them are autoimmune, they have antibodies which are fighting inside there.
So the name autoimmune simply means?
Autoimmune, is it self?
Self?
No, immunity is to protect, is a situation where you need to protect yourself, natural way of protecting yourself. But instead of protecting yourself, you start attacking yourself. The immunity which is meant to protect you is causing havoc within you. So it is autoimmune, fighting self.
Fighting self.
Yes.
Okay. And that's a good definition of lupus. When did you find out you had lupus and how did they explain it to you?
First, I started becoming sick in 2015. I was treated for rheumatoid arthritis from 2015 to September 2017. That is when I got a rheumatologist in Nairobi, and that is when I got a correct diagnosis in September 2017.
Wow.
And I actually wasn't shocked to get the diagnosis because at that point, I needed a solution to what I was going through. Because between 2015 and 2017, I had gone through all that I wanted to die. I had gotten to the point of I had reached the end and I wanted to give up. So I had finished all that and I now wanted a solution because I was not dying anymore. So I just wanted to get better. So when I was told I had lupus, I wasn't shocked. And at that moment, I asked my doctor, do I have a timeline? And he told me, no, if you manage yourself well, you're not going to die. You're going to live a normal life, irrespective of the fact that you're going to take medicine. But lupus, it's something chronic. It's going to be there, but you have to take care of yourself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, as I ask you this question, what questions did you have to ask other than will you have to die? Like, where did I get it from? Why is it in my body? Did anyone respond to that?
First, what I asked is, am I able to have children?
Oh. And what did they say?
I was told I am able to. But first, I have to be stable, as in I have to have less disease activity in my body. I am on immunosuppressants by the name mycophenolate mofetil. So I have to be off mycophenolate mofetil for 6 weeks.
Okay.
And then another thing was they have to check my kidneys, my protein level,
the functions.
The functions of my body.
Wow.
I have to have a gynecologist on board. You see, it is a lot of hassle by there to get pregnant with lupus.
Wow.
It's not impossible, it's possible.
Okay.
But it's a lot of hassle. I think that was
your concern.
That was my concern.
Doctor,
it still is.
Okay, Doctor is here. At least we'll continue to consult and he'll give us hope because he's always here to give us hope on Hope TV. How does the body attack itself and why?
The reason why the body attacked itself is really not known, and even why. But it is thought that there is some increased breakdown of cells in the body, and that happens in normal people. But in lupus, they are able to clear the end products of this degradation of the cells. So these end products, we call them apoptotic blebs. They are the ones now which are recognized as if they are foreign, and therefore the body tries to attack them. And why, we don't know, but there are certain risk factors that can make you develop the reason for this attack.
Okay.
Like, for example, exposure to the sun is a risk factor. Certain infections, viral infections, certain infections, or the other one is just stress. The other one is genetic predisposition, and finally, being female. Being female is the biggest risk factors for lupus. Wow. Because out of 10 people with lupus, 9 are female, 1 is male. Wow. And that is internationally. But here we feel that from what I've been observing, there are far more females than males. The one study we did, we found the ratio of, for every 20 people, 1 is male, 19 are female here in the country. So the number of females is huge. But the reason is thought also to be that the males are protected by the male hormones, the androgens, and female are at risk because they have low androgens. So in every human being, in male or female, you have both male and female hormones. And if you have less and less of the male hormones, you are at high risk of developing the lupus. And the male hormones is the androgens is thought to be protective. So in the males who develop lupus, we think that they have higher than normal estrogens in their system.
Oh, interesting. That's after a lot of research. I can't imagine how much research went into that. Dr. I jumped the gun by not explaining what you do exactly and how it's your field that deals with that, because she said she went to see a rheumatologist. Please explain to us what exactly you do and what parts of the body you deal with.
I'm a rheumatologist.
Yes.
A rheumatologist is a specialist in medicine. It can be pediatric or adult medicine. But a rheumatology deals with those diseases that affect the joints, the muscles, the connective tissues. Connective tissue include ligaments, cartilages, bones. So we deal with all those. So lupus is a connective tissue disease.
Yes.
So we deal with arthritis, connective tissue disease.
Okay.
And you know, even lupus, one of the major manifestations is arthritis. So it is not surprising that in early phase of the disease, you can present very similar to rheumatoid arthritis. And later is when the disease can evolve to look like lupus.
So what's that difference? Because now you're an expert. She had to go through 2 years of tests and everything. What is that one thing they just needed to catch to differentiate?
They caught it.
Uh-huh.
It's only that, number one, lupus takes long to diagnose. All the symptoms of lupus don't come at the same time. But the earliest symptoms is arthritis, which resembles very much rheumatoid arthritis. That's number one.
Okay.
There are some subtle differences which, if you have an experience high, you can notice. Lupus has got other things which are not there in rheumatoid arthritis. But the difference also is in the antibodies that you test for. The antibodies can be positive both ways. The main one in rheumatoid arthritis is a rheumatoid factor anti-CCP antibodies, which may or may not be present in lupus.
Wow.
But lupus has got its own unique antibodies. The challenge is, number one, the low index of suspicion among health workers. And number two, the inability for many of the peripheral hospitals to have the capacity to test for the antibodies that are seen in lupus.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. That's quite informative, and so many medical workers actually watch this show just for this kind of information. And thank you for giving it to us. Chebet, you said some of your symptoms, you struggled a bit. Could you just go a bit into detail of the symptoms you had?
One, I had alopecia, that is, I lost a lot of hair. I turned light skin, and I could get comments of how I bleached myself.
I'm so sorry.
I lost weight. I was about, at some point I got to 30 kilos. I had still up to now, if you see my hands, they are very dark and very tight. So as I said, I had joint pain and they could swell. I had loss of appetite, and then I had the butterfly rash. Yeah, and then also some rashes. And then I had fevers and migraines. Yeah.
So some of the things.
Yeah.
Being in a Kenyan high school, how was that? Because I'm just thinking how, people are just so judgmental.
Actually, I started being sick while I was in third year of campus.
Third year of campus?
Yeah. No, fourth year, actually.
Oh.
And I had to defer school because I couldn't, I was bedridden and I had to come back home for treatment. Yeah. So, when you come home and it's a rural setting and people come visit, and still you'd get, people would say you're bewitched, you have HIV, you need to go look for herbs, all those ideas coming to you at the same time. Still, it couldn't sit well with me because if someone comes and projects an idea on you that you don't know where it comes from, and you're in pain, you're not sleeping, you're not eating well, it doesn't sit well. Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. I'm just wondering, still third year, why did the symptoms take so long? When is there a time, Daktari, that symptoms start for people with lupus?
No, the lupus can start at any age once you have the genetic predisposition.
Yes.
But it commonly manifests itself between the ages of 20 to 30 years.
All right.
That's
reproductive age.
When there's a surge of estrogen.
Yes.
But it can still be seen in children, in the young adults, and even in the older people. Yeah, even I have as old as 80 years people with lupus.
Okay.
But there's something that can trigger it, like stress, or some infection, or maybe if you are exposed unduly to ultraviolet light, like if you are an Nairobian, then you decide to go and relax at the coast. It can start from there.
Wow.
When you get heat by the sun, you get photosensitive dermatitis. That's why she had darkening of skin of the hands and darkening skin of the face, and that's how it can start.
Doctor, you tell us to go to the sun between 10 and I don't know what time. Is that so? Now I don't understand. Sun is supposed to treat us, and now it's affecting.
It is important in the synthesis of vitamin D.
Yes.
But it is when you have lupus or you are predisposed to lupus, it's not a good idea.
Okay.
That's when you should beware those straw hats that you may people in Kenya here, people commonly use them for weddings. But as we prefer our patients with lupus to use them when they go to the sun, not for ceremonial purposes, but for medical protection.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Let's talk about the different types of lupus. Are there different types of lupus?
Yes, we have the main one, the prototype one, is called systemic lupus erythematosus, which will affect all parts of the body. The other one is called discoid lupus. Discoid lupus is mainly not very systemic, but is very devastating to the skin. You have hair loss, scarring of the skin, and it's mainly affect the skin. But you can lose all your hair. Loss of hair is a good thing. It happens in male and does not attract much attention. But in females, it can be very, very devastating. Then lastly, we have the congenital lupus, which the mothers who have lupus can transmit to the children. Yes, who have not been born, and the children usually present with heart block and are born with certain features of lupus.
I'm just wondering, Chebet, did you know what you had?
Like
The type of lupus? Did you learn that?
yeah, I have systemic lupus erythematosus.
Okay, because the things that you described sound like the second one and also the first one. They're just all.
No. The first one has everything, but even some of the things that the second one has.
Okay.
Mention any skin problem, you get it in systemic lupus, and then the hair loss occurs in systemic lupus. But now things like fever, anemia, and so forth don't occur in the discoid type of lupus.
I'm so shocked because, to be honest, I've been trying to study different diseases. I've been trying to get with it, but this is so new for me. I don't know about you and what questions you have. You can send them to 22232. We'll be getting to them after the break. But before we go on a break, let's look at this. How does lupus attack different organs in the body? And Chebet, I can start with you, and Doctor, you can chime in, tafadhali. Is it like once? Is it one by one? What's that like?
At first, before I knew what was happening, I could say I was being. I went back to being a baby. I used to be bathed, clothed. My hair would be done for me, so I lost all my muscles at some point. So I just started regaining my balance in 2019, and just my mobility and everything. So at some point, that is when I was told I have an overlap syndrome of polymyositis.
In English, no, you become a doctor, Chebet. Honestly, you're just throwing these words.
Yeah, I think Dr. will be in a better position to explain what polymyositis is. So at some point I was told I have an overlap syndrome of polymyositis and scleroderma.
Yes.
Yeah, so that it had affected my muscles. So that was one. It had also affected my skin, and at some point I started having very bad brain fogs. So I have brain fogs is just a very beautiful term for memory loss.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if I met you during that time,
Not that time, right now.
Okay.
I can remember your face, but I forget very little things.
Yeah.
I would say I want to call you, but I'll call you in my head, but not call you actually.
Wow.
But I called you in my head.
Yeah. We had a conversation.
Had a very good conversation. Yeah.
That's quite interesting because I do that all the time. I also when people call, call.
Yeah.
Okay. I think also that's a generation Y problem or X problem, but God is with us. That's quite interesting. Dr. Could you explain what she talked about? The parallel ones?
Let me say this.
Okay.
You asked me the types of lupus.
Yes.
There's also a situation
Okay.
where lupus and rheumatoid arthritis can exist together.
Oh.
We call it lupus syndrome.
Okay.
Then we have what is called overlap syndrome, where you have lupus, scleroderma overlapping, or mixed connective tissue disease, where you have lupus, scleroderma, which we talked about, and dermatomyositis. Dermatomyositis is inflammation of the muscles. It's also, I told you, rheumatology deals with even muscles. Mm-hmm. So you have weakness of the muscle as a result of antibodies attacking the fibers of the muscles. And therefore, you have weakness of the pelvic muscles and the shoulder muscles so that you cannot rise from a sitting position. And also, you cannot even comb your hair. You end up being bedridden. So, most probably, Sister Chebet could have been having an overlap syndrome or even a mixed connective tissue disorder. But mixed connective tissue disorder, sometimes we see them as something which is in transit, that you can start with the 3 or 2. Later, you'll settle with 1. Yeah, when later you can settle with 1. So dermatomyositis is one of the overlap. You can have overlap of those 3 things in the same person. And you know, the skin rashes that you get in lupus are the same skin rashes you get in dermatomyositis. So sometimes you concentrate on the worst bit, the one that is making the patient down, not immobile. And that's what we concentrate on and bring up the patient. But you ask a question.
Yes, sir.
How does lupus present? Do all these things come at the
Yes.
Lupus comes in as a camel. Pole pole. Pole pole. That's why it is very difficult to diagnose. You can have, lupus can present with the nervous system. You can even have with the mental problem. You can come with stroke. And the depression, seizures, like an epileptic. And then later is when you develop fever or you develop skin rash. Lupus can present with mouth ulcers. And mouth ulcers are very common in patients with lupus. Then in the extremities, you can have coldness of the fingers, what we call Raynaud's phenomena, so that when you go when it is cold, your hands become numb and white, and sometimes you can develop ulcers on the tips of the fingers. These things can come at the same time, or they can occur in series. They may not happen at the same time. And even you can have skin rashes anywhere in the body, or loss of hair can happen. It can also affect the heart and lungs. You have pain when you are breathing, or the pain around the heart, and that can affect the heart in many manners. And you get arthritis, which can occur. And finally, the most known bit of it is the kidneys. The kidneys tend to be much affected in lupus, and that's why many people have known lupus. And so these things, you can even present with the kidney problem alone.
Wow.
And just puffiness. And then when you are evaluated, they find that you have lupus. So one lupus patient is different from another lupus. They are not the same.
Wow.
Yes.
When we're back from the break, we'll be hearing how Chebet actually got from being completely bedridden to showing up this fabulous over here on set. This is some of the things we call miracles. And Chebet, I honestly feel God telling me to wish you good health and to do everything you want, to see your own child. I think that's the biggest miracle right here. And God can do it. I believe, and you're in this present, so it's possible. You're watching Health Check. It's on Hope TV, where you look and live. We're taking a short break. When we're back, we go to your questions. Remember, you can call in live. You can call to talk to Chebet. You can call to talk to Dr. Mwalipia consultation. So go ahead and call us when we're back from the break. See you shortly.
Our Christian life is not just about God always stepping in when you are in trouble. But sometimes you need to go through the valley of the shadow of death, and God will say, angels, stand away. He must go through that. She must go through that. Because out of this would come something greater and more beautiful.
We're coming back. Welcome back to Health Check. My name is Kerry Kagiri. It's on Hope TV, where you look and live. We are back and hanging out and having this great conversation, learning more about lupus. And honestly, we need to get into the part of how we can support people with lupus, because I know there's a whole community. I'll ask our guests to introduce themselves just one more time. If you just joined us, you can catch up with the rest of the content on Facebook or on YouTube at Hope TV Kenya. Let's start with the lady. Introduce yourself and your community.
Okay, my name is Elwyn Chebet Songok. You can catch me on Instagram as the Black Warrior Queen, on Facebook as Kip Songok Chebet. Our support group is called Scleroderma Lupus and other autoimmune disorders.
It's on Facebook.
It's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also on WordPress.
Okay, so I'm trying to say Scleroderma, Lupus, and other.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So you can just say SCLAD. Sclad.
I can't try. Where I come from, we can't say those like that. No, my community would allow me. Also, make sure to check out and get to learn much more through this community of warriors. The Black Warrior Queen mwenyewe amekuja hapa, and she's not black at all compared to Dr.
I'm African.
Oh, you are black. Okay, I get it. Dr. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Omondi Oyoo. I'm a physician and rheumatologist. I work at the Kenyatta National Hospital, but I serve the Kenyan community.
That's awesome.
Yes.
We love it. He just doesn't want to say he's the head of the rheumatology unit. Thank you so much for making time to be here today. We wished Happy Madaraka Day, but we'll wish you again as we continue to celebrate what the milestones our country is having. And we said when we come back, Chebet will be telling us about how you got from being in bed, being combed your hair. Did you do your makeup?
Today? Yeah.
Yeah. Like getting there. Just share that journey with us just a little bit.
So getting here hasn't been easy. So first, it has taken my family, like my mom, my big sister.
Please say hi to them. Wasalimia too.
Okay, I'd first give a big shout out to my mom. She's been my rock. My big sister has just been amazing. My small sister, my brother. And then like where I'm staying here in Nairobi, I stay with my cousin Angela and their family. They're just so amazing because they've been like taking care of me when I'm in Nairobi, like having to come for like checkups, and sometimes I have to stay here for a very long time because I have to come to the hospital and everything. So they like take care of me, and I always call myself their bona fide firstborn, and they're just so amazing. So my journey involves like my whole family. So they're just part of me, like they're there for me financially, because lupus, you have to like have very good finances. It's so expensive. And then also like I have had a team apart from having like my rheumatologist. I have my physiotherapist, the person who always helps me to like stretch and do all that. So I have a person who always does that for me. He's called Moses. So he's from Kimbilio Hospice in Taro. So that is where I used to go for my physiotherapist. And
Hi, Moses. Uh-huh.
so that is one. And then also, I have this team at home where my sister used to work. So she used to take me to that place when I started like being able to work. She works with kids from like from the slums, so that they have an organization called BEAM. So I'd go there at least and like tutor the kids, and at least they'd give me like that sense of love, and like they'd want to like feel loved, you know, because at that point I used to feel by the useless, because you know you cannot do anything. So they gave me that sense of belonging, that sense of love, and like I felt I needed to fight again. So BEAM gave me that sense of you have to fight and be better. So like they got me to like wanting to make a step to be better. So and then last year, that is when I met my support group, SCLAD. And then my journey just became so amazing, because as much as you have people like who understand you, yes, they understand you, but they don't understand the pain that you're going through. You know, I'd want you to understand like I'm in pain, but I can't joke with you about whatever I'm feeling. But now if I tell someone who has like the same pain that I'm going through, like, and tell them, leo nasikia vibaya, they'd get what I'm feeling, and we can joke about it. And by the way, if you join our group today, you'd wonder if it's a group of sick people. Because we don't even like to be called patients. We call ourselves warriors.
Warriors, but you are.
Yeah, and that is why like we came together, because in this group is where we call home. Because yeah, we might have different autoimmune disorders apart from lupus, apart from scleroderma, apart from palindromic rheumatism and whatever's, but we've come together because we want to create awareness of lupus, of scleroderma, and all other autoimmune disorders. And we also want to feel at home. And we also want to tell that person who's facing stigma, because there's stigma because of lack of understanding. And meeting these people gave me like that push to be better, you see. Because as much as I'm in pain, there's someone who's feeling a bad pain than I am, you see. And I wanted to just like be able to smile every day because of someone. And you know, I'd wake up in the morning, I'd not read another person's message first. I'd
go to the group.
To the group. And
have you pinned it on the top? You know, it is an option to pin groups.
Yeah, you know, you like, I want to see who's feeling bad today. I want to see who got admitted yesterday. I want to see who got discharged yesterday. I want to see who is in a bad shape. You see, I want to call who's not feeling well today. I want to give hope to someone. That is what we do. That is what SCLAD is. And SCLAD is also like a place where we come together and advocate for that person who doesn't have drugs. Our drugs are expensive. like for
Doctor, she's mentioned expensive twice. She said the disease is expensive, the drugs are expensive. I think we'll talk about that a little bit.
even them, they're very, very expensive. And I'll actually understand why they're expensive, but they're very expensive.
Yeah.
And SCLAD is a place where we advocate for for everyone to access that medical care. Yes, I know my family can afford to take me to the hospital, but there's someone I think 2 weeks ago, someone in the group said, I saw someone who looks like they have scleroderma. You know, we've had these diseases. Mpaka unaona mtu and you can diagnose them. And she said, what can I do? And we told her, refer her to us, and then we can see what to do.
That's good.
So because this is home, we want to advocate for someone who doesn't know what they're going through.
True.
And that's why we have these beautiful things that you see.
Lupus.
Yeah.
You'll tell us much more about that. I'm really excited to, she's a champion over here. She's a warrior. So, unatetea haki za watu. Let's pause on the haki for 2 seconds because we need to know about what you're talking about. You're talking from a point of knowledge. Let's get to know. Doctor, what's this treatment and management of lupus?
The most important aspect of management is to make a diagnosis.
Yes.
And diagnosis is difficult, as I've said. You need a high index of suspicion, which is unfortunately lacking. Because number one, in the past, we did not have a robust curriculum in our medical schools that could equip the practitioners with a high index of suspicion to recognize the lupus. Number two, because lupus is an evolving. And number three, we have very few rheumatologists in Kenya. We have about 10, 12.
Wow.
Yeah. So rheumatologists are few. But right now we have organized we have improved the curriculum in the medical schools, and high index of patient is there. So you need to recognize it and put up together the symptoms, which can stretch over many years. You have to be patient in listening to the patient so that you put up the puzzle together and have an index of suspicion. Then you do some tests, especially the blood tests. You can find anemia, you can find anti-nuclear antibody tests and other autoantibodies. But as I indicated, most of our government hospitals are not equipped with the laboratories to assist the doctor to make diagnosis of lupus. And that is the first step of a cost of lupus, which is talking about expensive, because you have to go to private area, and you see, even if the government is providing subsidized healthcare, if that thing is absent, it is absent. It's absent. Then number two, the treatment of lupus in comparison to the other autoimmune diseases is relatively cheap, because we use steroids, prednisone, when the disease is active. We use painkillers or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, but then we use hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine can be used, but chloroquine went out. It used to be used for malaria, but malaria became resistant. It's no longer used. But it is now the main drug for management of lupus. But something happened last year. Chloroquine was 20 shillings per tablet, but we were fighting for it to get lower. And then COVID happened.
Came.
And there was an imagination that it can be used for COVID. And that one made the price go 5 times.
So it's 100 bob?
100 bob.
What?
But even when it was found not to be very useful in COVID, the price has not come down. It has remained high. And this is one of the areas that we will be appealing to the Ministry of Health to look into this matter, because the price needs to come down. Number two, it needs to be available in many public hospitals, but it is not. Then the other drug that we use is azothiaprim, which it's expensive not because it is expensive, but because it is not very much available. The law of supply and demand looks at the price.
Yes.
The one that we use for the kidneys is mycophenolate mofetil, which she talked about. But this one is expensive. But fortunately for us, there are many generic products that are available that help the price to be done. But it is still expensive. Then we have other drugs like cyclophosphamide, rituximab. So the newer cyclophosphamide is not expensive, but you prescribe it for severe lupus. So the drugs for treatment of lupus are available. It's only that they are not very much available in the public health system. But I think lupus, if it will be comprehensively covered by the National Health Insurance Fund, which even His Excellency the President was encouraging Kenyans to join NHIEF to meet the cost of their treatment. It is covering dialysis 100%. But lupus patients who have kidney problems, they are not covered by NHIEF when they are sick. But when they get kidney failure, NHIEF cover dialysis, which is not good. I think they should be treated comprehensively so that they don't reach the stage of needing dialysis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's one of the conversations that we are going to have in a robust manner once the environment is conducive with the National Hospital Insurance Fund. I'm hoping that all the lupus, the warrior groups, and the health workers will join forces so that we speak with one voice.
I love it.
We speak one voice to ask for somebody to pay. Because, we would wish, our heart goes out, that we would wish to treat the patients with the lupus for free. But you see, you must pay your bills in terms of the rent and all that. But secondly, they have not left them alone.
Yes.
We have many clinics running. We have a clinic running at Kenyatta National Hospital, which is highly subsidized. For those with insurance, we have the clinics running at private hospital, Mombasa Hospital, Mata Hospital, Aga Khan Hospital in Nairobi, Aga Khan Hospital in Kisumu. We have a clinic and MTRH in Eldoret and at JOTRH in Kisumu. So the things are getting better. But I think many Kenyans now need to join some national insurance fund and negotiate so that NHIF gives them comprehensive cover so that anything which costs money is expensive if you don't have that money.
Sure.
Yes.
I love it. Thank you so much. There's so much passion on this set. Let's fight for the lives of people. And Daktari, I like that you've kind of stepped out of being Daktari to actually talking about the patients, and that's very good.
Yes.
Let me pick a couple of questions before we continue to treatment and management, because we are saying the first step is diagnosis, and that, as we've seen, is quite difficult in public hospitals and spaces like that. One is asking, Daktari, is it possible to get lupus when one is a senior adult, or is it a condition that starts from infancy? We had responded to this, but please respond again. And actually, can we give Chebet this one? Because she has experienced. Please answer this viewer.
I believe there's no age limit for for lupus starting. Lupus can start at any age, from infancy to old age, so it doesn't have any age limit.
Because you lived safe and well up to what age?
Up to, I think, 22.
22. I'm trying to count your age because ulipatiana statistics 2019. I'm counting.
I'm 27.
You're 27. Oh, what a time to be alive. Okay. Daktari one is asking, can lupus be passed from mother to child? That's Sami in Mlolongo.
Yes, lupus is not contagious. Neither it can. It's yes and no. Let me yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, in the sense that you can inherit genetics that predispose you to lupus from your mother. And that increases your chances of getting lupus by 25% in comparison to the general population. Secondly, if your mother has got certain antibodies, there are antibodies called anti-Rho and anti-La. So these antibodies can be passed by the mother to the baby in the uterus, and the baby can be born with congenital lupus. That's why I say no. But it does not mean that if you have lupus, your child is going to get lupus. It does not mean that. But as Chebet had said, when somebody has lupus, if lupus does not interfere with infertility, you are just as fertile as any other lady. The medications that are used some of them may interfere with the fertility or the health of the baby in the uterus. But lupus does not interfere. But the problem is that when you get pregnant, when lupus is not well controlled, you can get any complication that is associated with pregnancy. Any. Mention any.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. And Chebet is very keen on this one. As we talk about this, thank you so much for your calls. Keep them coming. Sorry, I had to let Dr. finish, so you can call us. There's a caller from Gilgil, there's a caller from Kisumu, there's a caller from Nyeri. Thank you so much for calling. This is a good time. We'll pick up your calls starting now, but I think we'll get into that now treatment. You talked about diagnosis as a first step. What's next?
Once you make a diagnosis, you stage the disease in terms of activity. I told you that not all lupus are the same.
Yes.
So there are many medications that are available. So the medications are not ready-made. They are tailor-made. You decide what is the particular problem with this patient with lupus. If it is the oral ulcers, you deal with that. If it is the skin, you deal with that. If it is something causing anemia, you deal with that. So the medications are professionally balanced to deal with the situation that is obtaining. Because a patient with lupus, with the kidney problem, is different with the one with the joint problem. One with the joint problems will give hydroxychloroquine and maybe steroids and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. The one with kidney problems, we will use mycophenolate, methylphenidate, you'll use cyclophosphamide and Imuran. So the treatment varies. The one with the hair problem, you'll have to give hydroxychloroquine. So it varies, but the good news is that all the drugs that we need for lupus are available.
Yeah.
But we don't take this thing for granted. In 1998, 2000, when I started practicing rheumatology in this country, many of these drugs were not available, even hydroxychloroquine. I had to do a lot of lobbying and persuasion with the drug companies to make them available in this country. And I would like to pay tribute to the Nairobi hospital, because when the drugs were not available, I would talk to the chief pharmacist and he would import drugs that are necessary for lupus. Even the hydroxychloroquine we have now is generic, brought by one of the drug companies that we persuaded to bring it here. But the plaquenil, the original hydroxychloroquine, is actually brought into this country by the Nairobi hospital. And they subsist us in many ways. So Nairobi hospital should be recognized as one of the warriors for lupus.
We love that. And I was just getting to how we can create awareness and who is creating awareness. But Abel is calling from Mombasa. Abel, good evening. Abel?
Yes.
Thank you for calling Health Check. What's your question?
What is the question?
Yes.
Just wanted to congratulate Chebet on a friend of yours because I know her personally.
Oh. Go ahead.
Yeah. Chebet, she's really a warrior. She's strong. I've seen her grow through lupus and up to the stage she is now. Just want to tell her to encourage more people out there who are living with lupus so that they will know that there's life after anything if they are able to fight it.
Thank you so much, Abel, all the way from Mombasa. Thank you, sir.
Mwambie tunampenda.
Wanakupenda.
Kuna Bruno, mwambie Bruno ako pia.
Thank you so much.
Innocent ka proposal. Oh,
my brother.
Oh, it's your brother. Oh, sawa, Abel. Okay, cool. Thank you. Ilikuwa tissues, please. Someone, we need tissues on the set today. Oh, thank you so much, Abel. Thank you for calling. Your sister is really, really happy and shocked. Okay. Breathe. Take deep breaths. Awesome. Thank you so much. As we do this, we want to thank you so much. Dr. As we continue, you talked about the drugs. So it's tailor-made drugs.
Yes.
Let's go to, there's a question I asked and I wanted you to chime in on the attacks happening to the body. And you said, so you just treat what's currently
when lupus, once you make a diagnosis, there are some tests that you do which help you to know whether lupus is active or not. Now, the practicing rheumatologists who joined me in the field can do the tests. When I joined, the tests were not there.
What?
Again, Nairobi Hospital, the late Professor Agri Nyong'o, I would like to pay tribute to him. He decided to make it possible to have Nairobi also to have the capacity to do those tests. And before then, all these simple tests we are talking about used to be taken to South Africa. But now they are being done at Nairobi Hospital and a few other laboratories here. There's some laboratories which to take them. So there are tests that you do to know the activity. The activity you decide with what is the patient. If the patient is losing hair, the blood is going down, he has oral ulcers, he has joint pains, the disease is active, and therefore you pick on a combination of drugs. But steroids is the cornerstone of management of inflammation when it is high, but otherwise we have other medications like chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, which you can Azothiaprim, which is Imran, which you can use in various combinations and various dosages to treat the patient. But I think it's important to know that each patient is dealt with differently. If the patient has got, you check even the urine. If the urine is spilling proteins and you are able to do a biopsy, you will know that the kidney is involved, and therefore you change gear. It is not business as usual. We become very, very aggressive in the management of the patient.
Chebet, how do you prevent your attacks? What are some of the things that you do? And I've been told there was a call we didn't pass from Gil, someone saying, Dr. you're doing a great job. And they're saying, thank you so much for all the work you've done. Since 90 EST, BC, since before Corona.
Just waiting for presidential award.
It's coming. The president watches this show, so president. Yeah.
First, you have to learn your triggers.
Yes. What are your triggers?
So, one, stress.
Okay.
So when I get stressed, I know that means total bed rest. I become very bedridden. So I try to avoid any situation that I get stressed.
Can you help some people? Because I've learned people have very toxic friends and they don't know how to cut them off. So that's one a source of stress. Yeah. So how do you manage your stress?
One, I love baking.
Okay.
So I bake a lot. I crochet. I do makeup. So apart from this, I do face art. So like during this lupus awareness, I used to do a lot of purple butterflies on my face. So if you go to my Instagram or my Facebook, you'd see like I used to have a lot of face art. So that's I'd like look for ways to distress. So I either read, I dance, and then I have very few friends. So my sisters are I'd call them my best friends. So they're the people I bond with most. So you'd find like those are the people I stay with, spend with a lot of time. And like they're the people I tell when I feel bad. So they help me distress. And then also my mom is one person that I tell everything. So she helps me with a lot of things, and she's also my prayer partner. So when I feel I can't pray or I don't have the faith, when you're dealing with pain, because I also have fibromyalgia. So sometimes when the pain is too intense or there's a day for I wanted to tell you I'm feeling fine. Fine is code word for the pain is okay. I can bear it.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I tell you I'm fine, it means I can bear it.
Yeah.
But when I wake up and I'm very moody, that is the day I have put God aside. I have put faith aside. I cannot pray. That is the day I tell my mom, today I need prayers. That is when I cannot pray. And she has helped me through a lot. So that is when I push my battles to her side, and she'll fight those for me. And also tell my support group that today I'm not feeling good. you guys help me through it. So because our motto is this is a place where no one walks alone.
It's a safe space.
Yeah.
Are you Liverpool fans anyway? No, I'm not gonna bring that joke right now. So your triggers are stress. What else?
Mostly that is like apart from stress, a lot of sunlight.
Yeah. So you can go to visit Abel.
In Mombasa? No, I really need a vacation. If I can get a sponsor to take me to Mombasa.
Jesus, you have had. Jesus be Chebet sponsor. Amen.
Yeah, but for me, with sunlight, so in my bag, I don't miss an umbrella. I have sunscreen 50 SPF.
Yeah.
I have long sleeved shirts. I have very wide hats.
Yeah. Okay. So those are some of the things. But I think what you kind of said is also like the stress can also come from inside you, but we'll be getting to that. Daktari, what are some of the things we can do to spread more awareness as when we come back to Chebet?
Yeah.
And you can also comment on the triggers. Do you want to comment?
The triggers, as she has said, are stress,
Yeah.
exposure to the sun,
Yeah.
failure to take your medications, and adhering to non-proven remedies of lupus, and many stressful situations in life. Life is generally very stressful, but we encourage them to lead a healthy lifestyle, to exercise often, because exercise also helps you to produce some natural mood elevators which make you feel good. But in addition to improving your health, and we ask them to maintain a good weight, to have a balanced diet, and take a lot of fruits and vegetables, take a lot of water, but avoid stressful situations and just do what you can manage.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Dr. Before we go to the next point, do you know Dr. Makumi?
Makumi?
Yes.
Yes.
He's in charge of non-communicable?
Yes.
Yes. He's calling from Sigona and he's saying congratulations and thank you for the good job you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. We can continue.
Yes. So in terms of spreading awareness, lupus, the month of May is the Lupus Awareness Month, and the 10th of May is the Lupus Day. And this is a month we intensify. And I want to thank you for inviting us at the conclusion of the Lupus Awareness, just to talk about lupus. And the media, and we are focusing this year on usage of social media to educate the public, the doctors, and the relatives on lupus. So social media, any media is useful. But when talk about awareness, I would like to pay tribute to certain personalities who have contributed to the awareness of lupus in this country. I'd want to start with the Lord Lona Irungu, who has contributed immensely in the public, in the knowledge and awareness of lupus in this country. And then the late Sharon Arwin-Skodek, also, who founded the Lupus Foundation, the first patient group in this country. She contributed quite significantly. Then we still have Jean Oroa Banda, who is a warrior, who is also the director of Kidney and Lupus Foundation. They are doing a good job. And Josephine Ngui, the chairman of Africa Lupus Foundation. All these people are putting together the patient with lupus and helping in creation of awareness. But the greatest awareness that I do all the time is to educate my students to be able to diagnose lupus early and make early referrals and give early treatment so that we can reduce the unnecessary suffering and mortality that we are seeing in lupus. But I do it even when I get an opportunity to speak in a church for one day. I might speak about something, but the following day, be sure that I'm going to talk about lupus. Whenever I meet 2 or 3 people gathered and I'm supposed to speak, lupus will not fail to escape from my mouth.
Oh.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Also, Winnie Kitawa Wemo, who posts a lot of the purple butterfly. You know her?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. We went to school. She was my deputy head girl. She punished me once. I've forgiven you, sister. Anyway, no, she didn't punish me. As we talk about that, how can we manage stigma? Because there's stigma around this word lupus. And first of all, it's uninformed because they do not understand. What would you suggest, Chebet?
So first things first, people should know that lupus is not contagious.
Oh, they think it's contagious?
Yeah. I cannot pass lupus to you, but you can pass your germs to me and it will kill me.
Hey, shots fired.
Yeah, because you see, like when you have flu, because my immunity is being suppressed, it becomes very hard for me to manage flu, and I catch it very easily, and that is why at some point my doctor had to have me get vaccinated against flu. So, so on stigma, I think people should just learn to love us for who we are. It's not like we wanted it; it just came. We don't know where it came from. No one knows where it came from. Just love us for who we are. We are warriors battling a fight. We don't know when it will end. We are not going to die tomorrow. Just love us for who we are. So we are not going to pass it to you. We are still lovable, by the way, and we make good friends. We listen, and so
I think you got me at baking. I was just like, how can I get you to my house to bake? That's what I was thinking about. But
we'll exchange numbers.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Thank
so, but on a serious note, one thing we saw that broke our hearts. We had a friend admitted, and there's a lady who came from Kisumu who was also admitted, and she was getting a diagnosis for lupus. And when this lady tried suggesting a doctor from Kisumu, the family said they'll follow up. And later for this other lady to get informed that she had passed on.
Sorry, try to get the questions on Facebook.
From Kisumu was also admitted.
Okay, sorry. I was trying to get the questions on Facebook. Sorry about that.
So one thing we learned from there is that stigma is real. You know, for me, I wouldn't say as in that was like real first-hand stigma. You know, your family letting you to die because they couldn't handle the fact that you have lupus and they didn't want to learn what lupus is. But if you learn about lupus, you'd come to understand that lupus is something that is manageable. Lupus is something that is, okay, as much as it's not going to be cured, it's something that you'll take drugs for it, and at some point, it goes into remission.
Yes.
Yeah.
And most of the stigma, as she has said, comes from lack of knowledge and ignorance. The reason why lupus is stigmatized is because people, when you are fall sick, people do not know lupus. So we need people to know lupus. People think that, number one, you have HIV, or you are bewitched, or you have TB, or you have typhoid, which cannot be treated, or you have, there are some cultural explanations. Like one patient told me that she got lupus because adequate but dowry had not been paid, or dowry was not paid for her mother. So these are outrageous explanations. And you know, these outrageous explanations follow you even in treatment, because people will not believe that hydroxychloroquine will treat something which can be explained culturally, or can treat HIV or TB. You know, lupus presents more or less the signs: fever, weight loss, and all that, more or less like HIV. But you don't have HIV. You have been tested, you don't have HIV, but people still think you have HIV. So, because people don't understand, and even if you tell them lupus, they've never heard of lupus, they say, you are on HIV, anatudanganya hapa. But even HIV, why do you stigmatize? It's treatable.
It's treatable.
It's treatable.
It's manageable.
It's
People
manageable.
are living well and healthy.
And living well and live full life. Even the person who is discriminated against you, you can outlive that person.
That's
yes. Many of them outlive them because they are very careful. So lupus is stigmatized because of lack of understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody has done a study on the experiences of people living with lupus, and stigma in Africa, in Kenya, was one of the biggest issues. But it's also, lupus disfigures you and you become a new me. When your hair's fallen, your skin is funny. I've had so many ladies whose boyfriends have run away or whose husbands have left them because of lupus. And this is not a joke. This is a serious issue because of lack of understanding. And to explain to you why I became a rheumatologist is because of this stigma. Wow. When I was young, relatively, I'm still young though. When I was relatively young as a doctor, I had this patient whose symptoms I did not understand. And I was struggling to treat, sending this way, sending this. There's no rheumatologist in Kenya. Then eventually, when we could not explain to the patient, the husband took this patient, took her to her parents in the rural areas. He came back to town, the town where I was practicing, and married and moved on with life. So I kept on wondering within myself, what is supposed to happen to this patient with arthritis and lupus? If they are going to be abandoned at home or stigmatized, who is going to help them? Then I remembered the words of Mahatma Gandhi, that if there's a problem, you should be the solution to deal with the problem.
Wow.
So I offered myself to be the solution to deal with the lupus problem and the problem of rheumatoid arthritis in this country of Kenya, for which I seek to be given a presidential award one of these days.
Wow. Doctor, this is a platform. This is where to do this. As I send love on our text line, and thank you so much for sharing. Those shares are so important, and that's one way you can create awareness. If you don't follow us at Hope TV Kenya, go ahead and follow us and share this video. Let everybody get to know and understand I think we've just touched a little, and it's almost time to wrap up. But before that, Dr. I'm coming to you on how we can lobby for drugs. Someone is asking just one more time. I'm coming back to you to answer this, and that's Anne Lillian asking, how can we help with lobbying the drug companies? So we're coming to you, but meanwhile, a big shout out to Chebet's doctor at Aga Khan who diagnosed her. Her journey has been amazing since then. Do you agree?
Yes.
This is on our text line 22232. Such an informative health talk. I'm glued to Hope TV. Indeed, Chebet is a gigantic warrior, and Professor Oyoo is a meticulous personality and does his things with enthusiasm. This is Apostle Olo Alan of Kitui watching from Naivasha. Thank you so much. Elwyn, we love you. You're the strongest warrior we know. We shall be by your side forever. That's Olive and Cynthia sending that, absolutely. And the rest of the questions I think we have answered as we continued. One is asking, is it true that lupus symptoms get better as one gets older? Maybe you can pick and Dr. You can come back.
It depends with how you manage yourself. And I'll also say it might get better because your estrogen levels are starting to go down. So because we're told as you get to your reproductive age, that is when your estrogen levels are higher, and that is when lupus tend to project itself more. That is when lupus tend to get active more. So I think it gets, your symptoms get less active when you get older. But I don't know if scientifically it's correct.
Okay, Dr. will say that. But you mentioned estrogen. We recently had an episode on fibroids. And fibroids feed on estrogen. Is that a thing? I don't know. What are some of the other complications around lupus? What are some of the other...
My menstrual cycle has become a bit crazy. 1 minute it is here, 1 minute it is gone. But I think it's because of the steroids or something. That was checked by my gynecologist, and that is why you always need a lot of specialists on board. So at some point,
that's what you can highlight.
At some point, I brought it up with my rheumatologist, and that is when he referred me to my gynecologist. Yeah, okay. And still, we get to discuss it with my support group, and others tell you they have heavier flows than normal. Others tell you they have no flow at all. So it just depends with your body.
Yeah. Do you have men in your group?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Just checking. They're just like out there, even as you do that. Dr. You can comment on the same as you tell us how we can lobby and how we can participate. But what are some of the other complications coming in?
There are many complications with lupus. You can get neurological complications. She's talked about forgetfulness. You can get cognitive dysfunction and impairment so that you are slow in thinking. But then secondly, you just get tired. Lupus, the tiredness is one of the main problems of lupus. So that patients are even tired of being tired. It's just tiring. And fatigue is one of the biggest problems to deal with. And they come through you, they are tired, and you don't know what to do. Then there's headache. Headache in lupus is a headache. What can you call it? A headache for the patient and a headache for the doctor. You do MRI, you do what, you get nothing, you give this and that, the headache is still persisting, and your life goes on. But these are the issues that we need to solve with headache. Then the kidney problems with the difficulties of taking medications, the large amounts of medications, and the issues that she's talking about of women health issues, recently there was a Women Health Day, and those are issues with lupus. When you have lupus, you get a new person. The old self is gone. You are a shadow of yourself, both in terms of appearance and even in terms of feelings. The person who you used to be is not there anymore. You are a tired person, always having this. When you wake up and feeling slightly better, as she said, you say, I'm normal. That new normal is not very, very normal. And they always have issues. So there is need for understanding and appreciation and working together. One of the patients that I always, which, in the past, I used to be dogmatic and saying, patients cannot have my number, they are going to disturb me. But when I came across lupus, especially my experience in the United States of America with my mentor, the late Espinoza, I realized that you must have open line with the patient with lupus.
Communication, yeah.
Open communication with lupus. You must listen to them anytime. Let them talk to you anytime. Because there's also the soothing potential of the spoken word.
Yeah, of healing. I know,
Yes.
And you've given us a lot of hope today. Dr. I'm sorry, this will be in your closing remark. You both have 1 minute, 1 minute. So let me start with Chebet. You're going to wrap up with how we can lobby in your 1.5 minutes. I'll add half for the lobbying part. And then Chebet, encourage people who are watching with lupus, encourage us. What pages can we follow? How can we engage? Where can we get the hoodies? Encourage us.
First, there is hope for people with lupus. That is the first thing.
I love it.
And two, we're very lovable and very friendly people, and people were easy to talk to. And we make very good friends. So you can always find us on Sclad. That is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and WordPress. Also, there's a person called Anne Lillian Lupus. You can follow her on Instagram. She's on Facebook as Anne Lillian. And then also there is a Mike Son Mogo on Facebook. On Instagram is called Chenashas Miki. Is our project manager. Is the person who makes the hoodies in Kenya. In America, you can get in touch with Anne Lillian Jerry to get the hoodies. So the hoodies and the T-shirts plus the bracelets, we sell them so as to cater for like consultation for drugs or for all those things.
Thanks.
So like the 100% proceeds go to our kitty.
100%.
Yes.
Please follow her for much, much more. Even as Newswatch is coming up. What's your winding up comment?
Just now, my winding up comment is like, have hope, stay positive, and put God first.
Thank you. That's beautiful, Dr.
I think the most important lobbying is for the drug companies to reduce the price of lupus and make the drugs available. The second thing is for the Ministry of Health to put these drugs in the essential drug list all the drugs for lupus so that they can be available through KEMSA that supplies the government hospital and the mission hospital. And once it is in the essential drug list and the price is made affordable, it will be available. Finally, let NHIF cover comprehensively lupus and other rheumatic diseases to reduce the cost of the management of this. And the governors and the counties should make it possible for the hospitals, the so-called referral hospitals in the counties to be able to be equipped to make diagnosis of lupus and to have personnel that can manage lupus. And all the medical schools in this country should have a rheumatologist in their faculty to improve the knowledge of the people leaving the medical training institutions in lupus. But to my parting shot is that lupus is not contagious.
Yes.
Lupus can attack any part of the body. Lupus affects both men and women, and lupus, it is not rare. We have over 2 million Americans with lupus and so many Kenyans. And finally, I want to tell all Kenyans that somebody you know has lupus.
True.
It's only you whose eyes have not been opened to recognize lupus.
Thank you so much. That was perfect. That was perfect. Thank you for watching this episode of Health Check. I feel really, whatever I can do, please let me know. I can put you on radio. I can put you everywhere. Let's just have this conversation. Let everybody know about it. Thank you for watching. How you can participate right now is by sharing our YouTube video and our Facebook video. That's one way you can be a part of it. Newswatch is coming up. Chiriku is also there. I'll see you tomorrow morning on Team Worship Wednesday. My name is Kerry Kagiri, and thank you, our guests, for coming through. Have a lovely evening. Bye.